Can you send the next guy, please?
Okay, let me just invite the next presenter on board. And you're staying there, is that right? You're quite happy?
Can I, please?
I can see you very happy.
I am.
Drinking, you drink the other one as well. Okay, so another gentleman on board now. You've already seen him on stage. He's actually one of the first speakers that joined Split 4 years ago. Since then, his company has gone from strength to strength, and a hell of a lot has happened between then and now. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mr. Tomaž Štolfa.
I know this guy. How are you?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me. It's an honor to be back here.
Don't mention it. I have no freaking... I had nothing to do with that, but that's good.
Well, and Ivan was involved, so credit to him.
So to rephrase a bad joke, you just flew in, right? And your arms are tired from San Francisco, right? Mm-hmm. So last time we talked, when was it? On stage here, at least, not...
What, 3-4 years ago?
And you were doing what?
I was running my first company called Vox.io. Some of them might remember it. We started with voice video calls in the browser, built some messaging around that, built a mobile product around that, and then...
So you were building the next Skype?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we were building something similar to where Viber and WhatsApp and these guys ended up with. And we're not doing that anymore, I guess.
Okay, we won't. We read about it on Netocracia. Anyways, so what has happened since then? You've moved to San Francisco, obviously, from Ljubljana, where the first company was based. How hard the transition was it? Because a lot of these guys, again, and girls, are thinking, oh, I have to go to San Francisco to build my startup.
Yeah.
Right?
Fair. Yeah, so the first company was basically started in Ljubljana, based in Ljubljana. The entire team was pretty much in Ljubljana for most of the time. We spent some time in San Francisco. I was flying back and forth. We had investors from London. We had people interested in investing in the company in San Francisco, but eventually nothing of that happened. But I still built quite a network there of friends and future investors, and my future co-founder met him in San Francisco and decided to start the next one there to do things the right way. But I think that period with Vox, going back and forth, spending a lot of time building product, understanding market, and so on, was invaluable, right? Like, we probably couldn't have done that in San Francisco at the same price we did here, because it's just way more expensive. But we couldn't have started a company like Layer in Ljubljana and be where we are today. So I guess you need to time it right. I guess you need to get to a certain point in the life cycle of the company, in the life cycle of you as a founder or entrepreneur, before you make the move. And you know, I meet and see a lot of people that are trying to make the move, and most of them, I think, are rushing it a little bit, right or wrong. But you need to be prepared so that you can jump right in and get the most out of it.
So what would be the right timing? And like for most startups, when do you think is, I would expect that a lot of startups into really early stages when they're pitching, they're thinking like, I don't care about local investors. I have to go to Y Combinator or found startups in San Francisco to pitch right away.
Yeah, that's totally fair. That's totally fair. I think the time when you're ready to come over is when you've failed a few times, when you've identified a few users that really love, like desperately love your product, that use it every day, or you know, if you're building a SaaS product, a couple of companies that do that. I'm going to tell you why. Okay. Right? Because if you come there before, no one was going to take you seriously. So you have to have something to show by the time you show up there. And I think a great example is like another team that was on stage here, I think 2 years ago, the Bellabit team, right? So they started here, they went to Berlin, they did something there, and then they went to YC. So they didn't just show up at YC with 5 slides and say, hey, here we are, and just can you please take it into YC? They had a lot to show by then, and they already went through a few cycles, they already did some things wrong, they learned a bunch of stuff, and then they landed.
What should their goal be then in this first, part of the trip?
Like I said, I mean, I think you can build great products very cheaply in Europe compared to San Francisco. I mean, just to give you a data point, an average engineering salary in San Francisco is about 150K a year. Now do the math of how many people you need to start something from scratch. You'll quickly see that if you don't raise at least like 600 to $1 million, you probably can't even start doing anything serious, right? While here, for $1 million, you get really far. And you can do a few of those iterations again, like find users that really love what you're doing, and then show some traction, and then go and do that. That's one key thing. And the second thing is, I think you need to also spend a few iterations on understanding the business better, understanding the scaling model better, and so on. So these are questions that people will ask you, right? The first question that I usually see European companies have trouble with is so how are you going to handle distribution? Like, why are millions of people going to use this if you don't have 10 people that are like obsessed about this thing? And we did the same mistake, right?
How did it look like for you?
At Vox? Yeah, so Vox was growing reasonably fast. We had retention and engagement challenges because we were building for the wrong platform. I later found out by myself. But yeah, I mean, we went out there and people loved our product, and still not enough people loved our product, and they didn't sort of use it every single day. They used it once a month, twice a month, 3 times a month, but not every single day. And if you're building a consumer product, unless you have that daily or weekly usage numbers that are actually high, and unless you have a specific retention numbers, it's going to be hard to make the transition. Because moving a team, let's say 5, 6 people over, it's an entire different science project.
So it was the retention thing, everything, the reason that you started the second company? Like, because it's different. It's the user is not a user in terms of any of us, it's developers.
Not directly. So started the second company mainly because I felt like I could still play some stuff. I mean, like, still have a best game in me. And this was a pretty obvious problem that we had when we were building Vox was, we wanted to innovate on 3 areas of the communication experiences. One is how you enter a conversation through a URL instead of a phone number or something like that. 2, how you can communicate with rich media. This was 2010, 2011, so embeddable content was not super obvious in messaging. And 3, how can we build a perfect memory of all your conversations? And for that, at that time, you needed to build all the infrastructure yourself. And we actually did build all the infrastructure ourselves, and we spent probably 95% of the time building infrastructure. But if you look at this thesis, all the innovation is on the experience layer. And similarly to us, like our friends at Airbnb were telling us, what, our messaging sucks. We have 3 people that are trying to crack this thing together, and it's not really working very well. Can you help us?
And everybody's trying to solve the same problem.
Correct. And then we have friends that were building dating products, it's matchmaking and communications, but they weren't very expert on the communication side, and their users started complaining about it. So slowly, through a couple of iterations again, and talking to a lot of people, we figured out that it would be a genius idea. I'm kidding. To build something that helps every developer add high quality communications to their product, no matter what that product experience looks like, right? So all the application developers, everyone who's working on consumer products or even enterprise products, they are in charge of making the user successful at the task or happy, delighted when they do it. And usually they do that through the UI and UX of the product, but they don't have to necessarily build the entire infrastructure themselves. Same things for maps, right? I don't know, anyone in this room that works with maps in their products, I guess someone probably didn't build maps yourself, right? Like Uber didn't build maps from scratch to show a car on a map moving around. Same things for payments. No one pretty much in their right mind would go out there and say, hey, I'm going to build a payments gateway and I'm going to have contracts with 50 banks and I'm going to solve all the regulations so that I can collect 1 credit card. Same things for communications, right? And if 3-4 years ago, it was fairly easy to build this in-house because all you had to do was deliver a text message from one user to the other. Today, that has changed because, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, iMessage, Viber, Line, you name it, their experience has got so much better, and we all learn to expect that in all the products we use. That's what we do. So, does that make sense?
Well, it does because you're growing, so that's good. It should make sense. Now, your target market are these guys, right? So developers, people that are building startups. Don't try to sell to them yet, but what's the difference between selling to them instead of like the average user, instead of like someone who's using WhatsApp and Facebook and whatever?
Yeah, so this is one of the big differences is, before we were building a consumer product, and now we have a very different target audience. The good thing is that they're all here in this room, so we can lock the door and I can talk to every single one of them and figure out what they need. For a consumer product, that's way harder. At least I felt it was way harder back then. So just to give you an interesting data point, in the first year of the company, I don't know afterwards, but the first year of the company, I had about 1,000 meetings with different developers. So that's about 3 a day, working day. And it was great, right? And it's easy to find them. We all know each other, so on. And you build a product for a very specific audience. That audience has a set of specific requirements, has a set of specific expectations. And most importantly, they will always bitch about what you're building, so it's easy to get the right feedback out there and improve. And that's the big difference. So I think.
Wait. So developers have an opinion about the technologies they build products on. I'm astounded.
First, yeah, shocker, right?
Shocker.
Yeah, so it's a tough audience, but also very rewarding because they help you improve the product a lot, and you can move really quickly once you've established that conversation. And if anyone was using Layer a year and a half ago, that was a pretty painful experience. I know because I was using it then. And if you try to use it today, it's a completely different experience. So one thing that we really try to do is basically bring the consumer-oriented mentality of polished products and great experiences to a developer product, which I think it's still kind of rare, right? I don't know, Stripe does that really well, Parse does that really well, there are a couple of others that do really well, and we really try to invest in that, from the design to the way we write documentation to the way we develop and then design APIs and so on.
Going in further, you said you interviewed 3 developers a day, right? So what did you talk about? How were the questions that you talked about and asked them different from a normal user interview? Or
it was so the key thing, the first thing that we were trying to explain is what we actually do as a company, right? And people were like, "Oh, this is super easy. Why would why would we use anything? I can put a Node.js server up and I'm going to be good in 5 minutes." So it took us some time to figure out what are those things that everyone understands that are hard. So syncing everything across devices, that's not super easy. Handling all the offline use cases, that's not super easy. Security, not super easy. Adding push notifications, not super easy, and so on. So we got through this list of things that are not super easy, and when you start listing them to the developer, in their head, in their head, it's just they're doing the math, right? So it's 2 weeks for this, okay, 2 weeks for that, okay, 3 weeks for that, and when you sum it up, it's 6 months to a year. So then it's okay, we're gonna use you. So that was a really good educational piece of getting to where we are. The second thing that we figured out was pricing. Pricing was a very interesting exercise.
Why?
We took a very product approach to pricing. So we had alpha pricing, beta pricing, and so on. And we finally found out what people understood was, how to do the math about how much the service is actually going to cost them. If you used SMS services and so on, they're priced per message. That's great. When you talk to pretty much any of you, you have no idea how many messages someone is going to send if you're adding messaging to your product. And we had no idea either, right? I mean, it was very different. In a dating product, might be 60 per day. In a marketplace, might be 1 per week, and so on. So that obviously didn't work. Pricing per message didn't work. So we had to talk to developers a lot and to their bosses because it's slightly different decision makers in different companies, and we got to a different pricing model, which was per monthly active user, which I'd argue that every company that is in the business of having users should know approximately how many monthly active users they have. So it's kind of easy to do the math. Does that make sense?
It does, and I have a question I'm not sure you will be happy with, but I have to ask it.
Yeah, sure.
You heard the interview with Che before, right? And one of the things that he said that he had a fake profile that he talked to users with, and so on. I'm interested just when you have such a very demanding audience, developers know their stuff. Can you, and did you, fake some of the stuff just to keep the conversation going?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't have a fake profile. I talk to people as myself, try to be
I'm not talking about that.
try to be as nice as possible. So what we did is actually we were quite open about the stuff that was super early stage and was not ready for prime time yet, right? So very often our first sort of product artifact would be a spec. And we would have a spec, and we would talk to people, and we'd say, hey, you know, this is a spec. There is nothing behind it. There is no code written. Do we understand each other? And yeah, okay. But does this spec make sense to you? And then we go through the things that we covered there, and very often we just go back, erase everything, and write a new spec, and refine that until we have something that enough people understand, feel that it's easy enough to use, and then we sort of go and build it, and then we refine that again and again and again.
So unlike like normal users, specs actually worked for developers because they understood.
Yeah, exactly. So think about it. I think about a spec almost like as a interactive InVision prototype, right? If I show you something that's kind of designed with screens and you have hotspots to tap on, I mean, you can't really experience the full product, but you can tell me this sucks like really badly, or this sucks like just a little bit, and you should fix those things before you start building it. That's what we do with specs on the developer platform side. So build as little as possible before you know that will work.
Moving in a completely different direction, one of the things that you did manage to do was win TechCrunch Disrupt, right?
Yeah.
With a freaking developer product. How was that like? What did it take? Like when one of these guys goes to TechCrunch Disrupt, wants to win, what should they do? Who should they bribe?
You should all watch the show. It's exactly like that. Does anyone watch Silicon Valley from HBO? No? Okay. It's not like the show. So I didn't puke after we won. So winning Disrupt was actually a great experience. I mean, we basically applied, we always had, when we started the company, the objective was to launch the company and the first product as an announcement at Disrupt. So we knew that was the deadline. We worked really hard towards that, and we got, I would say, lucky to have captured the audience in a good way, but also got there. By then, we probably had around 150 conversations with different people. Before Disrupt, pitched them the product, pitched them the idea, explained the story, used the whiteboard a lot to refine the way we told the story, and we got there, I think, well prepared. The judges liked us. The response from the audience was really good, and then we got to the finals and we pitched again, and it was pretty amazing experience. I would definitely recommend it to everyone. It's just that it's a lot of hard work, and you need to know what you want to get out of it. For us, it was a great launch platform. We got a lot of early traction through that. Got a word out, a lot of developers signed up, and then we sort of ran an early access program for basically a year after that, slowly getting all these thousands of people that signed up through. One of the funny things was that I spent approximately 2 weeks replying on all the emails we've got that day. Like, that was pretty much my full-time job after Disrupt.
So you're a PA basically after.
Yeah. I was replying to thousands of emails.
Okay, but a lot of people say like, okay, refine your pitch, ask people for feedback, yada yada. Like these guys will do that. What sets you apart? I'm sure that the other finalists did that as well.
I mean, if you want to go into the details, right? So how this looked like?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Please.
So we had an office rented just above a garage in the Mission, where it was impossible to work approximately up until 3 p.m. because the guys in the garage downstairs were actually fixing cars, so it was really loud. There was about 10 of us, maybe a few more the last few days, and I had a presentation in the morning for the team. We were recording that. The team gave feedback. As engineers, obviously no filter. So we had to improve a lot. Then we started basically having friend sessions. So we brought people in. They were sitting in the audience pretty much, and we were just pitching them and recording everything and refining that over and over and over again. And that lasted for a month. So if you woke me up the night before, like at 4 a.m., the first thing I would tell you would be the 5-minute pitch before saying hi. So I think that was actually a lot of hard work. And when people say, we practiced and so on, it's like, you did it once, twice, But this was, I think, and I have to thank the entire team here, because like they were very pushy to get this thing right, because they invested a lot of time like working on the product and so on, and my job was to go on stage and we did it right, and we really invested everything we had at that time into.
How big was the team then?
It was probably 11 people.
And now?
35.
So how do you go from a founder from Slovenia?
Yeah.
Small team, yeah, don't ask.
That's a lot of pain and suffering and blood and sweat and tears.
Okay, so before you get drunk, because of this question.
I'm drinking water, so.
Yeah, sure, water. No, but seriously, how hard is it to like growing with the team, growing with the product and staying sane? Because now you have to play on a completely different level, right? Yeah.
So there are a couple of things in that question. So, like you said earlier, like we started this company in the US, so we obviously hired a lot of people that were not Europeans. That's a cultural kind of shock and difference a little bit. So you have to adjust to that. And then the Valley is very, very competitive in terms of hiring people, right? And we want to hire, just like everyone else, the best engineers, the most passionate engineers, and so on. So we have to compete with the likes of, again, Stripe and Google and Facebook and so on. So basically that was the biggest challenge, because when I was here and when the team was here, we were basically able to handpick the next hires, and everyone was excited, right? They were kind of feeling lucky that they could work like on something like this. There, we have to sell way more, and we are a very mission-driven company, and we try to sort of communicate that. And so this was a big shift for me. The second thing is, at 35, not everyone has a direct report to you, or so we have different teams. You don't get to chat with everyone every day that much as you used to. When you get new people on board, you have to make sure that they fit into the culture, so that that the core things of the tribe as a company get transmitted to them. So that's all new for me. I mean, I see a guy there that also has a large company. He can tell you more about that too.
Do you think it's something that you can prepare for? Or is it just like...
No, I think you have to do it, right? I mean, I think you do it, and as you do it, you are smart enough to, again, ask people that have done it before, and they can help you. Everyone is going to give you good advice on what to do, what not to do. And I think you cannot underestimate any bit of this. So you can say, oh yeah, I forget about that. That's not really important. Like the things that you think are not important are usually way more important than you might imagine, and they're going to come back and bite you in the ass. So you should pay attention to a lot of those things, and that's, I think, hard work. So it's not an easy job, but we kind of like it. It's new challenges every day, new problems every day that you need to solve, and then you go and you learn and you solve those problems.
Would you mind if down the road some of these guys asked you how to fix a problem or?
No, absolutely. No, I mean, I could just feel free to reach out. I'm easy to find online. I'm always happy to sit down for a coffee if you're in San Francisco, or just reply to an email. When you were there, we chatted actually quite a few times, but also with everyone else. I'm more than happy to give concrete advice to concrete problems, or even better, share my experience if there is a very concrete ask. I don't really like to be too general, but yeah, reach out. I'll be happy.
When are you going back to San Francisco?
I'm going back on Sunday night.
Okay, so
I have to be at the office on Monday at 8.
Okay, so you guys have a couple of days.
Yeah,
Ask Tomaž if
I'm around.
Cool. Thank you, Tomaž, very much, and I hope something.